Remember that this was calculator inactive. The biggest thing that I need to tell you on this is you need to know those rules. I'm not gonna quiz you on them, guys, you gotta study it yourself. Okay, we don't have time to take a 10, 15-minute quiz on rules. You need to study them yourself. If you don't study them, that's on you. Does everybody understand that? You gotta start studying. Also, I set up for Emma asked me to do some Alberts and I set up some stuff. If you guys want that, they will not count against you or for you or anything like that. But if you want me to add you to the class, I will do that. Okay, so you just gotta let me know if y'all want me to go ahead and just do everybody, that's fine. And it will, yeah, it will give you the answer right after you finish. Like I said, it is not for a grade, so you don't have to do it. But those of you that want to look at a few more questions, you surely can do that. That might be something good to do on Friday when I'm not here. Let's see, what else? Fiveable website. Y'all go on that.
They don't have the cram sessions anymore. Yeah. You can only watch the old videos.
We'll watch the old ones. I mean, it's well worth it for my kids said the same questions were on the AP exam that were in the cram session. So if those are recorded, I would go back and watch them. They're very good. And again, the most expensive that Fiveable is $5. It might be well worth it to get that 3, 4, 5. All right. So this very first one, it says find G prime of 4. So what is the derivative of 1/32 x to the 4th minus 5x squared? How do we get that? If you miss this, you need to write it down. If you miss this, boo on you because this is an easy problem. Okay. So 4 times 1/32 x to the 3rd minus 5 times 2 is 10x. 4/32 reduces to, so we have x to the 3rd over 8 minus 10x. We're going to plug in 4. We don't have a calculator. If you don't know what 4 to the 3rd is, 4 times 4 is 16. Do it old school times 4, 24, and then 64. So we get 64 over 8 minus 40. What is 64 over 8? Minus 40 is negative 32. Your answer should be B. What did I tell you was going to be your big problem? Yeah, not the calculus part. Not the calculus part.
Didn't do the derivative at all.
All right. Yeah, remember that prime is the derivative. All right, look at your next one. How do we find the limit? First thing we should always do is what? Direct substitution. Try to sub it in directly. So we get 8 times 0 squared over cosine 0 minus 1. You guys should know how to do this based on the unit circle. If you haven't studied the unit circle and you don't know it, guess what you need to study? The unit circle. At 0, this is your x coordinate at 0. So if we're looking at our unit circle, this is 0 degrees. Our coordinate is 1, 0. So what's our x coordinate? What's our x coordinate? 1. So on the top, we're going to have 0, and then we're going to have 1 minus 1, or 0 over 0. This is an indeterminate form. The easy way to do this is the hypotenuse rule, where you take the derivative at the top and the bottom. Okay. So I wouldn't try to do anything crazy. I would just go ahead and take the derivative. So on the top, what's your derivative of 8x squared? On the bottom, the derivative of cosine x minus 1. Say it again. Plug it in. What is 16 times 0? Sine 0 is still indeterminate. So what do we do? Take the derivative again. So do it again. Derivative of 16x. Derivative of negative sine x. negative cosine x. So again, just a reminder, this gave you 0/0, which is indeterminate. Take the derivative again. If you need to write those little notes out, take the derivative again, do that. And then when we plug in, we get 16 over, remember our x coordinate at 0 was 1. This is a -1, and we get -16. Number 3 is the same exact thing. What do we do to begin with when we're trying to take the limit? Direct substitute. So we're going to direct substitute. We get 5 squared minus 25 over 5 minus 5, which gives us 0/0. So once we figure out it's indeterminate, what do? Take the derivative. What's the derivative of x squared minus 25? Derivative of x minus 5. So it's just 2x. And then we direct substitute. 2 times 5 is. You should not have missed the first 3 problems. Yes.
I took the derivative, but I didn't do the top of the bottom. I just did it like, I did quotient rule.
Yep.
And so then I just kept doing it and it just kept giving the same thing.
The only other way we've really learned how to do the derivative different is doing that f of x plus h minus f of x over h. Yep. Yep. Now this one is the one you guys are trying to do. So this is quotient rule. There's not a limit. It just says take the derivative. So we're going to do quotient rule. So what do we do first? The derivative of the top is 5x, sorry, to the 4th. I don't know what I'm writing. Minus 1 times the bottom minus the derivative of the bottom times the top all over the bottom squared. I'm always going to look to make sure that that bottom, like this one, you know, it's not going to be this one. When you look at this bottom, we have just a singular and a squared. How would we get a singular x cubed plus 7? If they all had what? An x, or sorry, x cubed plus 7. If they all had an x cubed plus 7, do they all have x cubed plus 7? No, so we know it's not this one either. And then we're just going to compare it. X to the 5th minus, what's wrong with this one? It's backwards, right? So make sure you take the derivative of the top, then multiply it by the bottom. So it's going to be what? Just be careful. All right, number 5. How do we take the limit? Direct substitute. All right, so we're going to plug in a 0 for that h. What is tan pi over 4? Pi over 4 is 45 degrees. What is your coordinate at 45? Square root of 2 over 2, square root of 2 over 2. Remember that tan is y over x. It doesn't matter because it's going to be the same thing over the same thing. That's why they give you this one, which is square root of 2 over 2. Yeah, same thing over the same thing. It's 1. So on the top, you'll have 1 minus 1. And on the bottom, you're going to have, I'm plugging in 0 for h. What does that give you? Which is? Indeterminate. So what do we have to do? What do we have to do? Derivative. What's the derivative of tan? So secant squared pi over 4. H is a constant, so we don't do anything with it. All of that is a constant, pi over 4 and h. So we don't have to multiply it by anything. Does everybody understand that? So if there was an x in there, then we'd have to multiply it by the derivative. And then on the bottom, h is a what? Constant. So when we take the derivative, we get 1. Well, you got it. Whatever. So then what is secant? 1 over cosine. The reason I'm doing this is because I don't have a calculator. So what do I need to be able to use to get what secant pi over 4 is? Unit circle. I don't know anything. I can't remember the formulas. I could for secant. So I'm going to change it to cosine because I remember cosine is the x coordinate. Does everybody understand? Now I can just put it on the bottom. So what is your x coordinate for pi over 4? We just did pi over 4 is 45. What's your x coordinate? So we get 1 over square root of 2 over 2. Don't forget your squared because it was cosine squared. Square both the top and the bottom. Square root of 2 squared is 2. 2 squared is 4. We don't divide fractions. We do what? So 1 times 4 over 2. What is 4 over 2? Times 1 is 2. Any questions? What about this next one? Number 6 is one of those that you'll get a little bit confused on, but when you start working it out, you'll realize you're kind of doing it wrong. How did you start this one? Okay, so that's what I did. You find your u. So you think, okay, that's a function within a function. So what did you say your u was? But when I take that derivative, what do I get? 3 dx. I need what? There is absolutely no way to make this x dx. Does everybody see that? So we are not using a u. Everybody understand that? I did the same thing, so I know that's where you're going to mess up. And then I was like, oh my God, what do I do now? And then I remember that I can multiply them together. Okay. So we take the integration of x square root 3x. We're going to multiply it by 3x to the 1/2. Remember, we add our powers. So what is 1 plus 1/2? 3/2. So we're actually taking the integration of the square root of 3 times x to the 3/2. Where did the square root of 3 come from? Because we have 3 to the 1/2. So I pulled that to the side. Before we take the integration, what can I do with that square root of 3? So put it on the outside. What is the integration of x to the 3/2? X to the 5/2 over 5/2. We get the square root of 3 times your 2 is going to come to the top. Looks like this. And then we just squish them together. So what are we going to have on the top? What are we going to have on the top? X to the 5/2. On the bottom, we're going to have 5. Don't forget your plus C. So again, remember, if you can't make your U work, then you're doing something else. Any questions? 1 through 6. Are they as bad as you thought they were? No, just take your time. That's exactly what I'm telling you. Like, have some gumption when you take it. You've got to sit in there anyway. You got to sit in there anyway, right? You don't get to get out early. Nothing happens. You're going to sit in there. You might as well try. What's the worst thing that'll happen? Best thing that'll happen, you make 3, 4, 5. At least try. Does everybody understand that? Okay. Do what?
The 2 is better than 1. You don't have to take the math placement for a lot of things. You just put you-
I don't care. I would just like to see a lot of you make 3s, 4s, and 5s because I know that you can. These first 6 problems are the frustration that I've had. Not frustration because I get it. Because like I said, I had problems with them too. But what I get frustrated with is you give up. And I know you know how to do it. Does that make sense? So like I said yesterday, you guys will work out a problem. I see you're working it out right. And then you plugged in that 4 and you didn't get the answer that's on the side. And instead of going back and saying, okay, well, maybe I did a mistake here. Let me work on it again. You said, and moved on. We can't do that. We can't do that on the test set. Okay, if you don't get it, try again. So what I do if I look at one and I'm like, I don't even know how to start this, I kind of like star it, write the number down and move on. And then I make sure I go back to it. I'm gonna do all the easy ones first. Oh, this is a derivative. I'm good at derivatives. Let me do this first. It's real simple, guys. So go through and do the ones you like. I get really frustrated if I can't do something. So if I sit there and look at the one that I can't do for 5 minutes, I'm gonna be so mad at the easy ones that I can do and flustered and frustrated that I'm gonna get those wrong. So I go through and do all the easy ones and then I come back and keep going. All right. Look at this one. For what value of k is f continuous at x equals 1? You may not know how to do this problem, but this is a super easy problem. Did anybody get number 7 right? How'd you do it?
I did some stuff and I got 1 and -1 was the closest thing.
Okay. See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? But this is an easy problem. Let me tell you why it's an easy problem. Anytime we're trying to figure this out, and we're doing this piecewise function, you set them equal to each other and plug the value in. So you're gonna set x squared, gosh, x squared minus 3kx plus 2 equal to 5x minus kx squared. To be continuous, they both have to have that 1 and they both have to be equal. Remember, if we take the derivative from the left and the derivative from the right, that's basically what this is, derivative from the left, derivative from the right, and they come to the same number, it's a continuous function. Does everybody understand that? So we want to make sure that it's continuous. So we set them equal to each other. And then it says that x is 1, so we're going to plug that in. 1 squared minus 3k times 1 plus 2. 5 times 1 minus k times 1 squared. We get 1 squared is 1 plus 2 is 3 minus 3k. 5 minus k. This is math 1, pre-algebra, whatever you took, some 8th grade math. How do I solve? Okay. I wouldn't have done that, but it's cool. There's nothing wrong with that.
It's negative.
It's gonna make it. It's just one more step that you have to do, but at this point, you guys just change signs, so you're good. Subtract the 3 over. You get negative 2k equals a positive 2. Divide, and we get negative 1. How many of you got number 8 right? So it's still wrong. There is no right answer. Not one. I was so mad at this one because I was like, there's no way. And I did it and I did it. And I was like, yeah, it's not there, and did it and did it. And I looked at the book and the way that they did it, and the answer that they got is not, like, it doesn't even multiply the right way. So they made a mistake.
That's not even there. I don't even know how to start.
Oh,
it.
this is super easy. You ready? Super easy. So it says from 0 to 7. What do we have here? Look at it and think small. Look at it. Don't even think that hard. What shapes do we have? We want to find the area, right? How you find the area of a triangle? 1/2 base times height. We can read them. So this little triangle right here is 1/2. What's your base? What's your height? 2. This triangle right here, 1/2. What's your base? What's your height? 4. Is everybody okay with all this? Then I can make this one. We're only going to 7. They dirty dogged you and put the graph to 8. Go to 7. This little triangle, 1/2. What's your base? What's your height? The only thing you have to remember, if it's underneath, it's a negative. So then we just add all the areas up. What's 1/2 of 2? Times 2 is 2. This one, 4 times 4 is half of 16 is, and it's on the negative side, or it's on the bottom. And then half of 2 is 1, and it's above. Add these up. 2 minus 8 plus 1 is. Should be -5. None of these answers are on there. So the answer that they gave in the book was -4. But this is also the work that they had, because I'm like, how are they getting? Yes, anything below the x-axis is going to be negative. Is everybody good? Question is, will you know? I hope that's an easy one. This one, you just have to know your derivative rules. What's the derivative of secant? Secant x tan x. So we're going to do secant of whatever's in our parentheses, tan, whatever's in our parentheses, and then what do we have to do? What is the derivative of this? 2 pi x. Which one is your answer? I hope you got that right. If you didn't, it's because you don't know your rules. Or you didn't multiply over the derivative. What? I mean, that's great that you guessed and maybe got it right, but I would rather you like. Yeah, just make sure you have that. All right, next one. What does this tell you to do? Derivative and then plug in 2. So what's the derivative? -2/3 x minus 2 to the -1/3. And then we would do times 1 because we do the function inside, but we don't need that. Is everybody okay? What is this? Not a square root, but a 3 times the cube root of x minus 2. Is everybody okay so far? All right, what are we plugging in? 2. So we have -2 over 3 times the cube root of 2 minus 2. What's 2 minus 2? So 0 times 3 is, we have a 0 on the bottom. So how many of you did it right? And then was like,
Yeah, I was like, well, I don't know.
see? What I'm talking about. I know, it's okay. This is, again, this is why we're going over it. It's not a big deal. Is everybody good? What about this one? This is one of those rules that you need to remember. Okay, so the last packet that we just had that had the integration rules on it, this, and this is probably one that you're, again, you got to study, you're not going to know, was sine inverse of x over a. So what's the first thing I need to do with this integration? You do know this. What if I had 4 over x? Take the 4 out, right? So what am I going to do on this one? Take the 2 out. So we're going to have 2 from the integration, 0 to 1/2 of 1 over the square root of 1 minus x squared. Remember that a is your square root of the number under your radical. So what's the square root of 1? 1. So we have 2 times sine inverse of x over 1, or just 2 sine inverse of x from 0 to 1/2. Everybody good so far? So again, the first thing that you need to know is the rule. So that's probably the first place that you messed up. Okay, I think we just really worked on that rule a minute ago, so not a big deal. All right, what do I do now? Plug in. Sine inverse of 1/2 minus sine inverse of 0. Sine is which coordinate? The y coordinate. Where is the y coordinate? 1/2, positive 1/2. $45 was square root of 2 over 2, square root of 2 over 2. We have one below and one above. And what is this one? 5 or 6. Perfect. You have to know the unit circle, guys. You have to. So this is 2 times pi over 6. Where is your y coordinate? 0. Louder. At 0. So right here at 0, remember our y coordinate is 0. That leaves us with 2 times pi over 6. What can I do? 2 over 6 reduces to. That's it. So your answer is pi over 3. So how do I do number 12 now? Set them equal to each other and plug in your x. X squared minus 3bx plus 2. 2bx squared minus 8. Our x is 2. So 2 squared is 4. 3 times 2 is 6b plus 2. 2 times 4 is 8b minus 8. I'm going to move my 6b over, and I know you can add your 4 and your 2, but I'm not going to do that just yet. Add my 6b over. 4 plus 2 is 6 equals 14b minus 8. Add your 8. You get 14 equals 14b, and b is going to equal 1. How do we find max and min values? So we did this and we did this a bunch. We did it with a chart, and then we did it in the book. We didn't do it with this packet stuff. We didn't do it as a chart. The first thing you're going to do is find your critical values. Max and min will come up a lot. Find your critical values. And you're going to test on either side, and I'll explain that in just a second. Do you remember how to find your critical values? What equal to 0? The derivative. So on this one, set your derivative equal to 0. So let's start there. What is your derivative of x e to the negative x? What do I got to do? Product rule. Derivative of the first is 1 times the second is e to the negative x plus the first one times what's the derivative of e to the negative x? How did you get negative e? It's the same thing, and then the derivative of the power. I'm going to clean this up just a minute so you can see it. Minus x e to the negative x. Looks like this. What do you notice about both? They have e to the negative x that I can take out. That leaves me with 1 minus x. We set both values equal to 0. What is the function e to the x? What does it look like? Tell me what the graph looks like. What kind of function is e to the x? What is e to begin with? It's a constant raised to the power of x. What kind of function is that? Exponential. And it's a negative x. So that means, is it increasing or decreasing? Decreasing. So think about what your exponential look like. What do they look like? Close, but right. So it's level at 0, like it doesn't ever touch 0. So a regular one. Let me go this way. So a regular one, when you're looking at it, like if this is your coordinate plane, it closes as close as it can to the x-axis. It's increasing, crosses at the y-intercept and shoots up, right? So this one we know is decreasing. So what is it going to do? Start high and go over, right? Does it ever touch 0? You have to know that because this is going to be an invalid equation. It's not going to happen. It'll never touch it. Another way that you can evaluate that, we get rid of e by doing ln, right? If you try to do ln of 0, that is undefined. It will not work. Cannot take ln 0. All right, so just so you know, think about it that way. What about this one? What's your answer? X equals 1. So it says find your critical values and test on either side. So we have a 1. Give me a value on the left side of 1. Easier. 0. Give me a side, something over here. 2, 10, doesn't matter. I heard 10. I wrote 2, sorry. And then we plug it back in. Plug it back in to the derivative. Okay. So we're going to have e to the negative 0 times 1 minus 0 e to the 0 is 1 times is, biggest thing is it's positive. Plug into the other one, e squared 1 minus 2. 1 minus 2 is negative 1. E squared is a constant. A constant times a negative 1 is a negative constant, right? That means it goes from increasing to decreasing, right? Do I see that? So where is that? Where is that? Do we choose one? No. So how many of you chose 1? So that's your x value. They want the y value. Yes. So they want the maximum value. Okay, maximum value. So we're going to plug it in. You plug it into the very beginning where it's x e to the negative x. Your x that we found was 1. E to the negative 1. How do I rewrite e to the negative 1? Put it on the bottom. So if you got C, I give that, but it asks you for the maximum value. If you need to make that note, maximum value is your y coordinate. So great job if you got 1. You were almost there. All right, 14. This one should have been an easy one. Did anybody get 14 right? And did the work? It's pretty easy one. All right, what do I do? Take the derivative. Every time I take the derivative of y, what do I do? Okay, So the derivative of y cubed is equals, what do I do for this one? Product rule. So I'm gonna do x times the derivative of y is dy dx plus just y minus 4x, and then the 8 goes away. I went ahead and plugged in because it's easier for me to plug it in than to look at all those variables, okay? So what is your y? 3 times 2 squared dy over dx. X is 1, so this is just dy over dx. Y is 2, x is 1. 2 squared is, bless you. 2 squared is, times 3 is. Two minus 4 is -2. I'm gonna move that dy dx, it's a 1 dy dx over, so I'm gonna subtract it. 12 minus 1 is 11. Equals -2. How do I get dy dx by itself? Then I get -2. So I good? What about this one? When I take the limit, first thing I do is plug it in. What's gonna happen? When I direct substitute, I get 0 over 0. So how do I fix it? Take the derivative. So start with the first one. The derivative of x is 1 times your second. So we're doing product rule. If you want to put the 1 there, that's fine. Plus, we're going to have the first times, what's the derivative? The derivative of 2 to the x. Say it again. It's ln a times u prime. I'm sorry, ln a times your whole function, just u, not u prime. So your a is your base. That's one that you guys need to study. So ln 2 times your 2 to the x. On the bottom, now that you know that, what are you going to have? Times so the same thing as the top. The 1 will go away. Now what do we do? You don't have to. What can you do? You can just plug in, right? So try to direct substitute at this point. Instead of trying to do a lot of algebra that might mess you up, go ahead and try to plug in from here. And again, because it's 0, that makes it a little bit easier. So 2 to the 0 plus 0 times ln 2 times 2 to the 0 over ln 2 times 2 to the 0. Anything to the 0 power is 1. What happens when all this is multiplied by 0? Just gets 0, right? So we don't need any of that. Then on the bottom, we have ln 2 times 1, or just 1 over ln 2.
Did you get breakfast?
I did not.
You want me to stay in here while you go?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, and I'm gonna send you an email if you'll read it and think about it and respond.
Always something. She just wants to know that it's like, it's important, read it. Well, breakfast came when I was right here walking down the hall. This is more important than me stopping and going to get a biscuit. I don't know, and I don't know where it's from, and it's not important to me. This is. So you make sacrifices. Understand, I missed out on biscuits for you guys, so I appreciate that. That's different than me and you. That's okay. All right. Y'all are dumb. All right, what do we do on this one? Why not? Where are we? Oh, I put my paper right.
Everyone that was like this, I got real confused. 'Cause I didn't know how to-
Okay, so you think we should do U, right? Okay. What would our U be? So then our DU would be. Look at this. What do I have right there? X dx. How do I make this X dx? You did it right.
Get it.
So we take out a 1/2. We're taking the derivative of secant U or secant squared U du. What's your derivative of secant squared? Not your derivative. Integration of secant squared. Mhm. Okay, so what caused the derivative to be secant squared? Remember, they're backwards. Okay, so if you knew just a minute ago, I said, what's the derivative of tangent? You got secant squared. If you know that, then you should be able to go backwards. Okay, so we have 1/2. I'm just saying. Tan U plus C. What was U? And that would be.
Every time we take one of these, I forget what we use this whole thing.
I don't know why I put the X in the C one.
Next. The only thing I would say about 17, you should be able to get these. You should be able to get these. Once I do one, you're gonna be like, oh, okay, I get it, I get it. But watch your signs. So like in the end, you might get something that's a little different than the answers, but you'll always be able to manipulate those signs. All right, does everybody understand that? So first of all, it says the tangent line, the equation of the tangent line. So remember, for our equation, we use point slope. So we need an x coordinate, a y coordinate. We have those. And what else do you need? Slope. How do we find the slope of a tangent line? The derivative. So we're finding the derivative and plugging in. Okay. So anytime it talks about the equation of a line, the first thing you're going to do is find the derivative. And then you're either going to plug in set it equals 0, whatever you have to do. If it says the normal line, we had one that said the normal line, that is perpendicular. So what do I do to the slope? Flip and change it. Does everybody understand that? So you had one that said normal, know your vocabulary. Anytime it says normal, that just means you're doing the same thing that we do on this one. So if it says find the equation of the normal line, you're going to find the slope, flip and change it, and then do the same process. It is the same thing. So the first thing we're going to do is find the derivative. Tell me the derivative of this. Good. Don't forget dy over dx equals. Zero. Derivative 52 is 0. Okay, it's okay. What do we know about this equation? Keep going. How? Before you even do that, what did I tell you is a little bit easier? If you go ahead and do what? Go ahead and plug in first and then solve for dy dx. So then you only have that dy dx you're looking at instead of x, y, and dy dx. So what is your x coordinate? Your y is -1. 18 times 2 is, what am I gonna do to that? Move it over. So I get negative 32 dy over dx equals negative 36. How do I solve? And you get dy over dx equals 9 over 8. If it asked for the normal line, what would you do? Negative 8 over 9. Everybody good? So you would flip and change it. All right, so I got my slope. The way that I'm going to write this now is my point slope form. So it looks like this. This is the easy way to do it. What was your y coordinate? -1. A negative -1 makes a +1. Your slope that you just found was 9/8. X minus, what's your x coordinate? 2. Notice how they have x and y on the same side and there are no fractions. How do I get rid of that fraction? Multiply everything by 8. So it'll be 8y plus 8 equals, that takes care of your 8. And we're going to distribute our 9. 9x minus 18. I need to get x and y on the same side. How do I do that? So I'm going to subtract 9x. I have a positive 8y, and I'm going to add 18, which is 26, because they have all theirs equal to 0. Okay, so we're looking at this and we're like, answer's not on there. Change all the signs. So if you don't see the answer, change all the signs. So the first one is negative 9x. Don't just circle that, look at it. I'm supposed to have a positive 8y and a positive 26, so it can't be that one. We know it's not the 8x. So now try to change all the signs and see if that equation is on there. If that one is not, you did something wrong, go back and fix it. Go back and try again. And again, it'll be within that algebra stuff. All right, skip 18 for a minute. It's not hard, it's just a longer problem. Let's go to 19. Don't let me forget that I skipped 18. I know. How long has everything been?
Billion
It is the
years.
same, whatever you have on the top of your papers is the exact same as what it is. I was gonna say like 4 hours. 8 to 12 is
It's-
usually
it's
what
the
you have.
longest.
It's still like the one, read that would say like 3 essays in an hour.
Whatever I do tomorrow, I'll record for y'all, like I'm recording today. So. All right. This is a to the u again. A to the u again. There is your formula for that. We didn't do u prime on the last one because it would have been 1, so there's no point in doing it. This time we have a power that has a function in it, so I'll have to take the derivative. All right, so it said write it over again. So what's your actual problem? 3 to the pi x. So rewrite your problem. Times ln, what's your base? 3. Times the derivative of the power. What's the derivative of the power? Pi. Okay, what do I do now? Yeah, what is it? Did I get? All right, next one. Average value. Looks like this. From A to B. So anytime it says average value, mean value theorem, both of those are pretty much the same. So you just put that 1 over B minus A to the outside. So it says find the average value. We're integrating from 1 to e 1 over x dx. And on the outside, we're going to have 1 over e minus 1. How do we know to put e first? What is e? Do y'all know what the value of e is? It is bigger than 1. It is like 2.8 or something like that, 2.18. Whatever, doesn't matter. You can make it that. If you, like on this one, if you'd rather see it as 3.14 pi, because then you would know, hey, the derivative is this, and then when you come back down here, you'll see, oh, there's a pi, that's the 3.1. Who cares? What are they grading?
It'd be three- it'd be-
Yeah, sorry. Stop judging. It is what it is. All right. What's the integration of 1 over x? Okay, so we have 1 over e minus 1 of ln x from 1 to e. 1 over e minus 1 ln e minus ln 1. What happens with ln and e? To b. Anything, anytime anything cancels, it's always what? 1. So think about it this way. Here you go. It should be e to the power of 1. When I cancel ln and e, what do I get? 1. ln 1, you should know this as well, is 0. So we're multiplying this 1 over e minus 1 times 1, which still gives you 1 over e minus 1. Be careful. What? You know, after 30 papers of the same thing, sometimes I screw up. Well, that's what you get for guessing. All right, flip your paper. The next one is really
Yeah,
easy.
when they're not like slide together, I love those.
All right. Derivative. Bring the 6 to the front, leave it the same. The power is now a 5, and then times 4x to the third plus cosine x. Which one is your answer? Good. Hey, check this one out. Find the slope of the normal line. It didn't even ask you to find the equation, just the slope. So automatically slope is derivative. Plug your values in, and then because it says normal line, what are we going to do? Flip and change. All right, so what's the derivative? One minus sine what? XY times. You got to take the derivative of XY. 1 times y or just y. Times x. For the first times the derivative of the second one. Don't forget the front side, you took the derivative of y and got dy dx. Plug in your little values. It's easier to look at. Dy over dx equals 1 minus, what's x times y? Sine of 0 is 0. Does it matter what this is going to be? It's going to be 0 anyway. So we get dy over dx equals 1. But we don't want that slope. We want what? So this is 1 over 1. Flip it over. Still going to be 1 over 1. Change the sign, and I get -1. You did good. Good job. Of course. What about this one? Okay, 23 is not a hard one. It's not. How do you do 23? Now that we've done these multiple times, what do you think you should do? Okay, try u. What's the function within the function? Remember that that is u to the, or sorry, not u, x to the 1/2 dx. X to the 1/2. Take the derivative I get. Which is the same thing as 1/2 square root of x dx. What do I have right here? Just what? So what do I need to do? Multiply it by 2. So what we actually have is 2 times the integration of cosecant squared u du. So you are doing them correct when you think about the u. Okay, you just gotta see it. You are correct. What's the derivative of cosecant squared u? Negative cotan. So we get -2 cotan u plus c. What was u? So -2 cotan square root x plus c is,
See, I almost that, because I didn't remember the U, but I was like, okay, it can't be cosecant. Again, because you have to take derivative, but I forgot that it was a negative, so my guess was the positive.
remember, most of your AP exams are like that. 2 answers are not gonna be anywhere close, just like that one that I showed you, like on the bottom, looking at the bottom. We know it's not this one, it doesn't start with 8, whatever, but then the other 2.
There's 2 that are like one of those. or the answer.
24 is one of the hardest ones. We're gonna skip it, go to 25.
It's backwards, it is the wrong way.
But
It's not X approaches 0, it's like 0 approaches X.
they probably just wrote it wrong.
Is it, do you see it's backwards?
Yeah, they probably just wrote it wrong.
Is that?
What? I think they just messed up, just like on that problem that didn't have an answer. It happens. They throw these things together quick. All right. This one is just setting it up. This one's just setting up a problem. A solid is generated when the region in the first quadrant bounded by the graph of y equals 1 plus sine squared x. The line x equals pi over 2 and the x-axis and the y-axis is revolved about the x-axis. Its volume is found by evaluating which of the following integrals. Think about this. Okay. This function, the line x equals pi over 2 is going to be a boundary over here. The x-axis is also a boundary. We're revolving it around the x-axis. That means that's the bottom. It's got to be the bottom. Does everybody understand that? Because 1 plus sine squared x is going to be up here somewhere. Doesn't matter. This does not have to be a perfect sketch. It's just so you can visually see which one's the top and which one's the bottom. What? All right. So then, obviously, what do we put outside of the integration? Pi, that's your volume formula. Where are we going from? So automatically, these are not your answers. What do I do? 1 plus sine squared x squared minus g of x squared dx. This doesn't matter which one looks like that. What's up?
I
I
didn't
saw
either.
that that one has a fourth there.
Yeah, and I knew it was.
Good. That's okay. You can do that. This one's only crappy because it's long. This
I had
next
a
one,
whole lot of work on this year.
it is a whole lot of work, but it's not a hard problem. Does everybody understand that? We know how to do the quotient rule. We know how to do the chain rule. So when we take the derivative, what do we get? Times all of that. You don't have to be so specific to the, and then what do we have to do? Multiply it by, what's the derivative of the top? Times 2x to the 5th minus 1 minus, I'm gonna put another bracket right here, x cubed minus 2 times 10x to the 4th. Sorry, I'm squishing out of that. All over 2x to the 5th minus 1 squared. We have a value of x being 1. So 4 times 1 cubed is minus 2 is negative 1 cubed is negative 1. 1 to the 5th is 1 times 2 is minus 1 is cubed is 1. On this side, 1 squared is times 3 is 1 to the 5th times 2 minus 1 is 1 cubed minus 2 is 1 minus 2, negative 1. 1 to the 4th times 10 is all over 2 minus 1 is 1 squared is 1. 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. 3 times 1 is negative 1 times 10 minus that is over 1. I get negative 4 times 13, and that gives me negative 52. So not a hard problem, a long problem.
I got the positive.
No, I don't know what you did.
I got negative 4 plus. And I forgot to put that extra little negative.
Good job.
I put a plus.
What I tell y'all it's gonna be. But when you don't get an answer, go back.
Yeah.
Try it again. It's not that you're doing it wrong, especially if there's a lot of algebra work in it. It may not be that you did the problem wrong. You may have added, subtracted wrong. I do it a lot. What do I do on this one? I can do this one a couple different ways, actually. We can try u. Let's see if it works. What's your derivative of u? Negative 1. Does that work? It does not work. So what? Just rip my hair out. What do I do? We can try multiply. Let's see what happens. I have x times 5 minus x to the 1/2. Can you guys multiply that? Can you guys multiply that? No, you can't multiply that. So it actually is a u du. But this is one of those where you have to solve for x. Okay, so this is one of those extra ones. So if I solve for x right here, what do I get? 5 minus u. 5 minus u. All right, so this is what you're going to have. I need x dx. So I'm going to divide by negative 1 right here. I get negative integration. X, this x right here was 5 minus u times u to the 1/2 du. Now I can multiply. I get 5u to the 1/2 minus u to the 3/2 du. I'm going to get 5 times, how do I integrate U to the 1/2. 3/2 over 3/2 minus U to the +1 + 2 over 2 is. Yeah. 5 over 2. It's okay. We bring our bottom to the top, so 5 times 2 is, what kind of 10 are we gonna have right here? -10 U to the 3/2 over 3. When I distribute my negative, I get a positive, bring your 2 to the top over 5. Hopefully you can already see it. I need a -10 and a +2 on the top. Which one is that? I don't even have to plug in my U's, but you know what your U is. 5 minus 6. You stupid. All right, 28. We'll finish with 28. Given the differential equation where y0 equals 100, find y of 2. The problem is, this is what? How can I rewrite this dy over dt? Y prime, right? I want just regular y. So how do I get to just regular y? Integration. That's okay. That's what I'm teaching you for. Problem is, I need my variables on the same side. So I need like dy and -2y on the same side. Your -2 can come out. Kind of like this. It can hang out over there. You're going to divide your y over. And you're going to multiply your dt over. And then you're going to integrate. If you don't like it like this, this is the integration of 1 over y dy, -2 integration of like 1 dt. What is your integration of 1 over y? ln y equals -2. What's the integration of just dt? The -2t. How do I solve for y? E both sides because I need to get rid of that ln. So I get y equals e to the -2t. Remember that plus c can go at the top or it can go in the front. And then you're going to plug in. So the first one they give you is what? What's your x value on the very first thing that they give you? X is 0, y is 100. 100 equals CE to the -2 times 0. 2 times 0 is anything to the 0 power is, doesn't matter. That makes 100 C. We're going to rewrite it again. It said find y of 2. 2 is x. So y equals C was 100 E to the -2 times 2. I get 100 e to the -4. How do I rewrite e to the -4? Put it on the bottom. We'll finish this one up and start the other one tomorrow.
Thank you for letting me use your beautiful pen.
You're very welcome.